is. There's Gustavo, who is following Real Madrid. We spoke to Sid yesterday about a couple of bits of transfer business that have been done. It confirmed today, Gustavo, that Mastantuono is confirmed. The 17-year-old will be joining Real Madrid. For those who haven't seen him play or don't know too much about him, can you tell us a little bit more and why Real Madrid are willing to pay such a big figure for him?
Franco Mastantuono can play as an offensive midfielder and also as a right winger. I can compare him to Arda Güler. I think that him and Arda Güler will fight for the same position. We have also to discuss and to see how Real Madrid will play under Xabi Alonso, but he's a kind of player like Arda Güler, very talented player, can play, as I said, as a right winger or an offensive midfielder.
It's interesting you take a look at the gamble that Real Madrid like to do with youth, and obviously it paid off with Vinicius Jr. Hasn't paid off with Endrick. Endrick was kind of the marquee signing, wasn't he, last summer of the teenage sensation. Will this be a different... Will this play out differently this time?
I don't think so. I think that he's going to have to wait. I think everything in Real Madrid, at least with Carlo Ancelotti, was always like that. The young players have to wait. With Carlo Ancelotti was always like that. With Vinicius, first of all, Vinicius and Rodrygo with Zidane first, and then with Carlo Ancelotti. But for Endrick, for Arda Güler, the young players always had to wait for their time. Let's see how Xabi Alonso works with this kind of situation. But I think that Franco Mastantuono will arrive to Madrid, will go to Madrid to be one more player in the squad, not to be one of the main players.
So let's talk about Trent Alexander-Arnold, obviously, who made a big splash yesterday because he spoke Spanish. Gustavo, for that, it really impressed us. For someone who's followed Real Madrid a lot, is it really that big a deal? Should we be talking about his football more than his linguistic ability?
Yeah, no, for all the fans of Real Madrid, for the Madridistas, to arrive and already speak a little bit of Spanish, it was, for them, it was brilliant. So it always makes you always have a good first moment. No, when you arrive talking in the language of the new country where you're gonna live. But with Trent Alexander-Arnold, the situation is completely different. He's gonna arrive to be a starter. We don't know how Carvajal will come back. We know that it was a very hard situation for Carvajal, a very tough injury. But Trent Alexander-Arnold arrives to be a starter. He arrives to be a very important player for Real Madrid with Xabi Alonso. We still don't know, and I see some that, how Real Madrid will play with Xabi Alonso. Is Real Madrid use a line of 5 defenders? Is it going to be a line of 4 defenders? In Madrid, I talked a lot to Madridistas. They don't believe that Real Madrid will play with a line of 5 defenders. Let's see how it's going to happen.
Interesting enough, they paid $10 million, didn't they, Gustavo, to make sure that he was available for the Club World Cup. We know what happened with Jude Bellingham, delaying his surgery so he could be in this tournament as well. There is an argument, isn't there, to say that of all the clubs who are competing in this competition, Real Madrid are taking it the most seriously.
Yeah, no, for sure. And Real Madrid needs a right back right now. They don't have a right back in the squad. They're using Lucas Vázquez, and we saw what happened this season. Lucas Vázquez initially was an attacker, and now he's playing as a right back, but he's not a right back. So Real Madrid needed a right back immediately for the tournament. That's why they paid 10 million euros for 12 million euros for Liverpool to have Trent Alexander right now, because they need a right back. And yes, Real Madrid always takes any championship very serious. I always say that for Real Madrid, the most important title is always the next one.
The future of Rodrygo is something we discussed with Sid yesterday. The papers are saying, oh, look, he was chatting to Xabi Alonso in training. They must be working on a plan for next season. You take a look at players at Real Madrid, well, they have to create some space, don't they, if they're bringing in new players. Is Rodrygo, do you feel, going to be there at the start of next season?
Well, you're asking about my opinion. My opinion now is that Rodrygo will not be at Real Madrid next season. We have to understand, we have to see what's going to happen, but what I know by sources, and we have already published it at ESPN, this information. Rodrygo doesn't want to play on the right wing anymore. He wants to be a left winger. He wants to play on the left flank of the attack of Real Madrid. He's going to talk, if has already talked to Xabi Alonso, to understand his role at Real Madrid for 25-26 season. From that, he's going to understand and see what's going to happen. But what I know by sources, and it was the first time that people around Rodrygo confirmed it to me, is that if he's not be a very important player for Real Madrid this season, okay, we can leave. There's no problem. We're going to hear the offers from other clubs. This is the info that I have from Rodrygo staff. From Real Madrid, they won't sell Rodrygo for anything. They won't sell Rodrygo for 20, 30, 40 million euros. If Real Madrid will sell Rodrygo, they will sell Rodrygo for the right price, at least 80 or 100 million euros.
Wow. It's a lot of money for Rodrygo, of course, was a bit part player, I think it's fair to say, last season. So, Gustavo, looking at where he wants to play, which team do you think he could fit into who needs that position?
I think that Manchester City would be perfect for him. I'm sure that he's much better than Jack Grealish. He's much better than Doku. I think that he could play at the position that he wants in Manchester City for Pep Guardiola. And what people around Rodrygo, his staff, has always said to me is that Manchester City has always been the club that is talking to them, checking how Rodrygo is. But Arsenal is one of the clubs also that is looking for the situation of the Brazilian forward.
Last thing, Gustavo, first time you've been on, obviously, since Carlo Ancelotti's first two games in charge of Brazil, of course, that saw them qualify, guarantee a place in next year's World Cup. What did we learn from Ancelotti's first two games?
I think that is not too much. He had few days to work with the group of players. I think that the first match was not so exciting. The second one, much better, with the Brazilian fans playing in São Paulo. The excitement in Brazil with the Brazilian fans about Carlo Ancelotti is high. So I think that he's working in a very good condition with a very good mood around him to have success with Brazil.